I'm off the bus, see you later. You can take your script and shove it up your ass. Oh, and welcome to a Christmas special of the Blind Pinterest Challenge. The series where I recreate Christmas crafts from Pinterest without any instructions. Because I absolutely adore Christmas. Oh my god. Favourite time of the year. Honestly, can't beat it. Love all the festivities and the gatherings and the glitter, and it's just a magical time to be alive.
Sarcastic cow.
I feel sorry for anyone who's new here who doesn't realise that that was all like sarcasm. I think it's a well-established fact now that it's not my favourite time of the year, but it's fine. I'll still do some Christmas crafts and I'll thoroughly enjoy it. I'm sure I will. So I think the first Christmas craft I want to attempt is this cute little bauble garland thing. I think it's absolutely adorable, actually. I like it when people put faces on things that don't usually have faces and turn them into something. I don't know, I think it's just dead cute. And I do think it's something I can do, so we'll give that a bash. I also think these will be quite a simple, almost minimal, and just a bit of like kind of crafty and textile-y ornament to have. And it's these, what I can only assume are light bulbs wrapped in some sort of twine or ribbon or something and turned into these cute little Christmas tree ornaments. I think that's a dead clever idea. Weirdly enough as well, I think this will be quite a cheap craft, but they look, to me, I think they look quite expensive. And I'm all for that. I like tricking people. Get something cheap and make them believe it's expensive. I think last year as well, I'm pretty sure it was last year's Christmas special, we did some sort of like Christmas outfit. I've literally just glued it across my tits, and I think it's only fair to do it again. And I kind of fancy making this tinsel Christmas tree jacket thing. I think it looks very fun. Don't know how I'm gonna make it, but you know, I'm up for a challenge, I don't mind. And I'm pretty sure last year I was gonna wear some festive Christmas thing to my Christmas party, and I didn't end up going because I had flu and I nearly died. Literally, I nearly died. Don't know whether you were around that time of year, but I was on my deathbed.
Yea, though she walked in the valley with the shadow of Little Red Riding Hood and the three bears, she feared no evil, because the three little pigs was not around.
Amen.
Amen. You're gonna be all right.
Hopefully this time, touch wood, I'm touching wood here, I don't get flu and I can have a lovely sparkly jacket to wear at Christmas time. And because money's a little bit tight at the moment, you know, I've been buying a house and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, we already know.
I wanted something a little bit simple, a little bit cheap, and I think this will be a very cheap craft to make. And it's obviously a little snowman made out of buttons on a piece of wood, and it's just like a cute rustic kind of decoration. I think that's very nice. I don't think it'll cost a lot at all, and I do like not spending a lot of money, you know. And I think for the final craft, reminiscent of the light cushion things that I tried to make, I believe again last year in the Christmas special of the Blind Pinterest Challenge, which were an absolute disaster. There's some holes in as well, don't look at it. This is a more simplified version, so it's just like a little cute bit of garland, possibly made out of felt, and I feel like I can easily do that. If I can't make this, and to be fair, if I can't make any of these crafts in this video, there's something really wrong with us. Like, someone needs to take my channel away from us. I should not be a craft channel if I can't do these crafts in today's episode. It'll be honestly shameful. It really will. I don't use that word often, but it'll be shameful. I'll be paraded down the street and people chuck stones at us. That's how bad it'll be. So I'm really gonna have to focus because I don't fancy getting... You know what, I'm not going to finish that sentence because it was going to a dark place, and you know where I was going with it, and we just won't talk about it.
I try to swallow my flute.
Try not to get too excited or anything, but your favourite craft is back. Oh my god, yes.
I could cry.
And I thought we would start off with the little snowman button decoration because I think it's going to be a piece of piss. So I've already pre-cut a little bit of wood here and I've given it a little bit of a stain just to give it a bit of like an antique-y feel, because before it was very like in-your-face white pine, which doesn't really go with the vibe, does it? Right, I've got some buttons. I need a small, medium and a large. So I've got my buttons and I just want to glue them onto this piece of wood. I think we basically know how I'm going to make this, don't we? It's not going to be rocket science. And then you could obviously get some paint, but I think I'm just going to use some markers. Do I have a white? Where's the white? That's white. That is not white at all.
Come in.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to use paint. I don't think pens are going to show up on that. And now just put my painting skills to the test. I suppose as well because like a Santa hat, it's very just kind of fluffy and messy, isn't it? It doesn't need to be perfect. I think that looks quite nice actually. Okay, so we have expectation. and reality. And there we go, a cute, very simple little wooden snowman decoration. I think that's well nice. It's really, really easy to make, ridiculously easy. Now I know in the original pin they had a hole in the top and they threaded some yarn. Unfortunately I've left my drill at the other house, but we can just pretend that this has some yarn on it and I can actually hang it up somewhere. And also as well, even when they've done like a snowman, you could easily do like penguins and Santas and all sorts. I think it's a really clever idea, and I think in material wise it wouldn't surprise us if this cost me honestly less than £1. I bought some buttons and I ran out of some glue because I used all my super glue when I made that rubber duck jacket. But yes, a very cheap and affordable little craft idea that I would highly recommend to anyone this Christmas season. So moving on to the next Christmas craft, I thought we would try the cute little bauble garland. And to start off with, I just bought a pack of hollow baubles. I then mixed in a very diluted PVA mixture to the inside of the bauble, just so that the glitter would obviously stick to the inside. I emptied the excess out and then I placed it onto a little roll of tape just to drain any little kind of stragglers out as well. Once the glue had stopped leaking out and it was still really tacky inside, I basically just poured some glitter to the inside of this bauble, mixed it all around and then tipped the excess out, and repeated that many times in different colours. And I've got my baubles here. I think these look really good actually. I think it's been my first time doing like a glitter on the inside of a bauble, and it's really easy to do. And I think it's much nicer because you don't get like glitter shit everywhere, do you? So now I think I just want to draw a cute face on them. I'm just going to use a Sharpie. I think that'll be the easiest thing to do. And I think at this point you can do basically anything you want. Look at my little bauble face. Honestly, everything looks better with a little face drawn on it. I'm not going to lie. And then I've also got a pack of pipe cleaners here. And then we just want to cut these into smaller parts. And now, just glue them on. I always forget how long it takes for super glue, which shouldn't be called super glue, to adhere things to a surface. It takes forever. You would assume super glue to be like instant, and it's just not. We've all been lied to. I always do this. I always think super glue's the best thing, and then I realise it's not. You know what, I'm just gonna get some hot glue. I'm gonna save myself this fight that I always have, and I'm just gonna get some hot glue. I think super glue's fine for like stuff that we did previously, where you just kind of stick something on, and then just leave it. I think that's great, but something when you need to kind of hold it in place and it's on like a weird angle and stuff, I think super glue just isn't good for it. Unless you've got a lot of patience, and obviously I have no patience at all. Don't you dare! You know what, I'm wondering whether they drilled holes into theirs and put them actually inside the bauble. I don't have my drill though, so I can't do that. But I have a funny suspicion that's what they've actually done. While I'm waiting for these legs to dry, which is a weird sentence to say, I thought I would tell you about something that's pissed us off recently. Here we go again. But basically, right, I've got a retirement party I'm going to. Not my retirement. At the end of this week, and I fancied some new trousers. I was like, you know what, I want some like nice new clothes, new trousers, make myself look a bit smart. So I bought myself 3 different pairs, which I thought would look quite nice. All the same size, by the way, they were all a 32-inch waist. And I tried this first pair on, and oh my god, it was so tight, like I could barely get it past my ass. Like they were so ridiculously tight. And I was like, there's absolutely no way I've put that much weight on that I can't get a 32 waist on my body. I'm not larger than a 32 waist. Sometimes 32 is a bit big on us. I was like, why can't these trousers? I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to diet and everything. Like, clothes don't fit us anymore. So anyway, after being like really like
depressed,
I put them down, tried on my other 2 pairs which were exactly the same size, and they fit us perfectly. In fact, they were a little bit too big for us. And what pisses me off is why are clothes, which are supposed to be exactly the same size, so inconsistent? And it had nothing to do with the fit, it might have potentially had something to do with the material, but a 32 inch on any kind of item of clothing should be 32 inches. It should be the same. So I was just pissed off, like, it's just really, really annoying. I think it's more annoying when you just don't know whether you can actually fit into something or not. I think women have it worse, but men also have them problems too. Like, the sizing of clothes are just so inconsistent and ridiculous, and it proper annoyed us. But anyway, out of the 3 pairs of trousers I bought, 2 look nice and 2 fit us. 1 makes us look like, well, it just gives us a massive muffin top. It looks like I've forced myself into something, and that's never a nice look, is it? Anyway, I've got my legs and arms attached now. How cute. Look at them. In fact, I think they need to be cut down a little bit shorter. I think they're a bit too long. So now I just need to repeat the same thing for another 11 baubles. That's okay, I can do that. No problems at all. So my baubles all finally have arms and legs. And honestly, they look ridiculously cute. And now I just need to string them onto some thread, I think. Basically, that's all they've done, isn't it? Perfect. Now you just need 11 more friends. I think I'm finally done with my bauble garland. So we have expectation and reality. There's my cute little bauble garland. Look at them, packed with personality. I think they're super cute. They are a little bit tricky to kind of line up and show off. They get tangled to one another a little bit, but I still think they're absolutely adorable. Doesn't it just make you happy? It makes you so happy. Oh my god, Christmas. I think it's a clever idea, and also I don't think many people would have something like this. It's very cutesy, but it's also just a little bit different, isn't it? And it surprisingly wasn't that expensive. I think in total this cost me around about £6 to make, and I think that's absolutely worth £6. I think I could do with working on the spacing a little bit. I don't know, they just get kind of clustered to one another. But I suppose when they're hung up, you can kind of rearrange them and stuff, can't you? Very cute idea. Really, really pleased with this one. So now I thought we'd move on to the light bulb decorations. And for this, I've bought a light bulb, some blue kind of t-shirt yarn, and then I've also got this gold metallic yarn. I thought this was quite nice. And we're basically just gonna hot glue yarn to a light bulb. I can't see anything going wrong. I'm not going to even overly explain what we're doing because I'm pretty sure we all know what I'm doing. I think I will start with the top though. I feel like hot glue should sponsor this episode of the Blind Pinterest Challenge. Literally the entirety of my crafts are just going to be hot glued together. I think the only problem with hot glue is it can look a little bit on the messy side, but other than that it can be and you can also burn yourself from it. But it can be very handy. Also at the time of recording, I was watching the news the other day, and I try to avoid the news because like it's depressing. But one thing that came up, and I don't know whether I ever told you or not, but I used to work at Pizza Hut in the UK for, I want to say nearly 7 years of my life. A long time. And anyway, apparently Pizza Hut's gone into administration in the UK and they're closing a ton of restaurants down, including the one I used to work at. And I would love to say like I'm surprised, but you know what? I'm not surprised at all. That company, although it's an incredibly iconic company, it has to be one of the greediest companies I've ever worked for in my entire life. And the reason they've failed is because they've literally put the prices up so ridiculously high for literally a pizza. And then what they've also done is they've worried too much about their shareholders and their investors and all of that kind of stuff, rather than giving a shit and paying attention to their customers and their staff. And that's what's gone wrong. It's as simple as that. I think it's been sold off like several times to different kind of private equity companies or whatever they are. And as soon as people like that get involved, they basically just want to suck as much money out of the company as possible and almost make it go bankrupt. That's all they do. So yeah, it was a little bit sad, but also expected. I have many stories about working at Pizza Hut. There was one time a customer screamed at us because I couldn't get any wine for them. Because the manager had taken the alcohol like key, so obviously I couldn't get into it, and they'd taken it home with them, so I couldn't access the wine that they wanted, which caused her to like absolutely rip my face off. But the worst thing wasn't customers, it was actually managers and like head office and all of those people. So there's one time they'd done like a new change of the menus and brought in these new pizzas and stuff. And I think I was on holiday or something, so I'd missed like the training on these new pizzas. And it was my first shift back after my holiday, and I'd had like a quick browse of the menu to see what was what, but I hadn't tasted any of them. And it just so happened on my first shift back, I had to serve my area manager as well as someone from like corporate or head office, I don't know. And they were in charge of like the new menus and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's fine, I'll take their order, I'll look after them. So I went over, introduced myself, etc., asked them what they wanted to order, but then the head office person said, oh well, what pizza would you recommend out of the new pizzas? I was like, oh I was like, I don't know, I haven't tried any of them. So thinking quickly on my feet like I do, I was like, oh, I would recommend the barbecue Americano. It's very popular at the minute. Because it was a popular pizza and it's the only one I knew. And they were like, oh, okay, we'll try one of them, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, it got towards the end of the meal and they shouted us over to the table to basically tell us what I'd done well, what I hadn't done well. Basically didn't say I'd done well at all. And the head office person said to us, and I shit you not, honestly, you're not going to even believe it, but this is what they said to us. They were like, when you recommend a pizza to a woman, and I was just like, okay. They were like, don't suggest a barbecue Americano because a barbecue Americano is a very masculine pizza. And I was stood there like, what? And then they pointed at the menu and said, when you've got a woman guest, you should really be recommending the portobello formaggio. I remember it. It's lit. This is how ingrained it is into my brain, because that's more of a feminine pizza. I honestly, I like nodded along at them. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. In my mind, I was like, are you crazy, you stupid person? And that's the kind of shit I had to put up with. And anyway, fast forward, I want to say like 2 or 3 years, and I was essentially one of the last remaining OGs of the restaurant. Everyone else had kind of left, so I was almost holding up the fort. If there was a shift and I was on, my managers kind of knew, even though it was going to be shit, at least things were going to get done, they were going to get done properly, and we were going to get out in a half decent time, because I was good at my job. I'd worked there for years and years at this point. And anyway, I was doing this buffet shift, and again, another person from corporate came in to assess my abilities while I was working. I was just like, oh great, here we go. And they'd come up with this new thing, and it was really stupid. So when you were talking to a customer, and by the way, you would get regular customers in who I would know exactly what they wanted to order before they even came through the door. They would order the same thing every single day, every single week. So you built up this friendly rapport. You were like, oh, how are you doing? How's the kids, etc, etc. And basically corporate wanted to standardize how we interacted with guests. So you would have to read from a script of exactly what you were going to say to every single customer. It didn't matter whether it was an elderly couple, a family, you would say exactly the same thing. And it was all about selling them shit, basically. And it would just never work. It wasn't right. And it took away any kind of personality or kind of tailored way of speaking to someone. So for example, I would treat a kind of chavvy looking young teenage table differently to I would an 80-year-old couple. Obviously you would, because they want different things. The chavvy teens just want to get their buffet and bugger off, whereas an elderly couple, they might need a bit of help with the menu, they might need a bit more assistance. You treat people according to what they need, and you as a waiter, a server, whatever you want to call them, need to gauge what that person wants. And they don't want a script. So anyway, I went over to this head office person, and I was doing the buffet shift on my own, like I always do, managing an entire restaurant on my own, like I always do. And I went over, got their order sorted for them, got the food, took it over, got the drinks, and he pulled us to one side and asked us my opinion on what I thought on these new things that they were doing, about the kind of script and what my thoughts and feelings were on it. And I was like, all right, you know, they're looking for feedback. I'll give them my honest feedback on why I think it won't work and why I think they're making a mistake, because I actually cared about the place, believe it or not. I don't know why, no one cared about me. So I told them my concerns and what I think wasn't going to work, and I understood obviously why they were doing it, but I think they were just going about it the wrong way. And this is another thing that I shit you not, he actually said to us. So very calmly, after I'd given him my feedback, telling him that I don't think it was a great idea and stuff, he very calmly said, well, Anthony, look at it this way. We're all on the bus, and this bus is on a journey, and we're all on this journey together. And if you don't like the journey, get off the bus. That's what he said to us. I shit you not. My jaw dropped to the floor. I was like, oh, so we're playing that game, are we? So someone who's worked for your company for nearly 7 years and literally holds up the place because the rest of the staff that had come in after like the OGs and stuff were quite frankly useless. You're gonna talk to me like that? I was like, all right then. And one thing with me, when I get an idea in my head, I will viciously go for it. I will go for it until it kills us. So from that day on, I was like, right, I'm looking for a new job. I'm gonna get off the bus. And I think within the space of, I don't think even the month ended, I had a new job and I left and told them, bye-bye, I'm off the bus, see you later, you can take your script and shove it up your ass. So yes, I'm not surprised you've gone into administration because the head office managers were useless and you kept selling your company to loads of private investors. So what were you expecting? No one's gonna pay 30 quid for a pizza, alright? I could tell you many more stories about Pizza Hut too. I didn't sign an NDA or anything. Lots of stories I could tell you. Things that would make you question and also worry about eating out. But, you know, I might save them for another day. Anyway, I think I'm done with my bauble. So we have expectation and reality. Look at that, isn't that cute? I think that's lovely. I don't think it's as polished as theirs. I think mine looks a little bit more rustic, but I like the rustic feel. And I do like the fact that it's got this glimmer of gold and then it's just blue and it's got like a textile feel to it. But how much did this little bauble cost us to make? Honestly, it wasn't that expensive. I reckon based on materials I've used, about £2.50. I think that's all right. And I've got enough materials to make loads more if I wanted to. So now I thought we would move on to the second garland in this video, and it's the little light bulb decoration thing. thing. So I've got some felt pieces here. I definitely don't want black, grey or brown because that doesn't scream Christmas lights. And I think for this, all I'm going to do is fold it in half and then I want to cut, yeah, like a little light bulb shape out. And then we've got 2 of them. And then of course we'll add more hot glue. I try not to rely on hot glue too much because I feel like it makes you look like a bit of an amateur, but I'm fine with being an amateur at this point. Right, got 1 done. I need to do however many more. How many more do I want to do? I don't know, I'll just keep going until I get bored. Okay, so we have a lovely collection of felt light bulbs now. And also, if you're wondering why I didn't just do a single version, like just one, and then have multiple flat singular ones of these, it's because this felt is so thin, like it just looked proper scratchy and shitty. So that's why I've doubled it over. Because as I was doing it, I was like, someone's gonna ask us why I didn't just use singular ones, and that is the reason why. Because I take Christmas crafts very seriously, you know? Very seriously around these parts, around these neck of the woods. Anyway, I've got my gorgeous light bulbs, and I've also bought this, which is a felt ribbon, and my idea is again to just hot glue them in like so. I think that'll work. By the way, I'm doing this all without instructions, you know. I think this is a very complicated technique, and I don't think many other people would think about hot gluing bits of felt to other bits of felt. I'm sure this ribbon that I've bought as well, it's not like a typical felt. It's got like more of a velvety texture. It's very luxe. And I don't think it was that expensive either, I think it was quite cheap. The thing is as well, I'm trying to make mine look very similar to theirs. If I was doing mine, and this was my original idea, I think I would have had some going the other way. It just looks a bit basic to have them all going the same way. I think so anyway. I also feel like the crafts I've picked for today's episode are very crafty. If you Google like crafts, these would come up, wouldn't they? They feel very inherently crafty. You know, felt and hot glue. It's actually been quite relaxing. I think sometimes it's nice just to have like a hot glue day. I know there are plenty of people online doing very like crazy things and like insanely well crafted things, etc, etc. But I think there's also some sort of like charm, just going back to basics, you know, like what they would do in medieval times. They would just get themselves some little felt sheets and make some felt Christmas garland lights. That's what they would do, especially for their meals. You know, they would sit down and have a roasted pig, but they would set the scene with some gorgeous felt decorations. I think that's what happened in the medieval times. I know it's not in any of the history books or anything, but I think we're all being lied to because I wholeheartedly believe they were really into their crafts, specifically felt string light garland crafts.
Okay.
Also, if you can't tell, I feel like I've lost my mind. I'm very tired today. I'm trying not to say how tired I am all the time because I feel like a bit of a broken record at the minute, but I am exhausted. My alarm went off this morning, and you know when you could have easily just like slept all day, I could have easily slept all day today and I wouldn't have minded at all. I'd have been quite content and quite happy. I don't think I'd have even gotten up and gone to the loo. I think I'd have just pissed the bed. That's how tired I was.
Ew.
Okay, so we have expectation and reality. Oh my god, look at mine. Isn't mine well nice? I think that's cute. I think mine looks better than theirs, you know. I think mine looks way better than theirs. What do you think? I know it's not a competition, and I know like Christmas like garland is Christmas like garland. Can't really go wrong with it, but I don't know. I feel like mine looks a million times better than theirs. If it was a competition, I reckon I'd be winning, okay? If you made loads and loads of this, I think it would really kind of fill up a room and just look, you know, very medieval. Stop it! And how much did my felt Christmas like garland cost us? I reckon about £3.50, I'm gonna say. I don't think I spent a lot on it, and I've got a lot of leftover materials, so not bad at all. I'm very pleased. So finally, I thought we'd move on to some Christmas fashion. And I've got myself a jacket to act as a base for this Christmassy jacket. I've also bought some Christmas decorations. They look like sweets and candy canes. I think these will be very cute. And then I've also bought some green tinsel, which I don't think I've got enough. Even though I bought a lot of tinsel, I bought quite a lot of this, I still don't think I'm gonna have enough to cover it. And then I bet you're wondering, how am I gonna get all this on? Well, surprise, surprise. I'm gonna hot glue it on.
You're shitting me!
I feel like I've gone back a good few years and I'm just hot gluing everything together, which is what I used to do back in the day, but it used to work then and it can work now, okay? You can't go wrong with a bit of hot glue. If this looks great, I am gonna wear it to my Christmas party this year. If it looks shit, then I shall not. Ooh, this is going way further than I thought it was gonna go. Ah, I might just have enough, you know. I'll be happy about that because I really want to get this entire thing covered. Well, my hot glue gun was working overtime for that. But I'm finally done, so we have expectation and reality. Oh my god, how stylish, how festive, how Christmassy. Oh, I think it looks so cool. It looks really good. The only issue is obviously it looks amazing from the front. Wow, so festive, can't wait for Christmas. And then I turn over to the back. I didn't have enough tinsel, so the back's got nothing on it. Devastated. But I think this is fun. I think this is very fun. I would like one in every colour, please. Should I start a tradition every single year at Christmas time of making some sort of like festive wear?
No!
I think that would be quite cool. Let me know down in the comments. I'll be completely up for it, you know I will. And this jacket cost me about £40 to make, which I don't think's bad at all. I think that's money well spent. It's surprisingly comfy, very insulated and very warm. And just a bit like, ooh, makes me wanna do this with my hands. Don't know why. What's happening with my hands? I'm not sure. Are they even attached to my body? I don't know.
Wake me when it's over.
Will I be wearing this to my Christmas party? I possibly might. And the thing is as well, the Christmas party that I go to, the proper serious like consultants go to it. So there'll be me sat there surrounded by like consultants who take themselves very seriously and just be like, hey yeah, you alright? In my festive jazzy jacket. Oh my god. Can't wait to embarrass everyone, including myself. Anyway, I think that just about does it for this year's festive edition of the Blind Pinterest Challenge. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And the festivities haven't finished either. I know obviously this will be the last time I see you before Christmas, so I hope you have a lovely time, whatever it is that you do. But after Christmas, because of how the days have landed, I'm doing another Christmassy video, so that'll be interesting, and I think people will be sick of Christmas by then, but never mind. But I hope everyone does have a lovely Christmas, or a lovely whatever day it is, if you don't celebrate Christmas. And you never know, you might be making one of these to wear at your family lunch. Imagine if everyone had one. Oh. It would bring instant joy to the season, wouldn't it? Because it's such a depressing time. I already feel in the mood. And I don't get in the mood for Christmas, but this makes me wanna, I don't know, eat a mince pie. Actually, I don't wanna eat a mince pie because they've got lots of gluten in and I will shit myself.
No! It's happening! It's happening!